Welcome to Grow Your Own with PACE. It's practical actions for climate and the environment. This week we're looking at growing beans and peas. Just to recap why we're growing our own. Well, it's nice to grow our own food. However, the other point is that we can reduce carbon emissions by many people growing their own vegetables. A lot of vegetables are imported, many coming by air freight. So if we can grow more of our own, that will reduce carbon emissions. So first of all, the beans then. Well, broad beans, we've talked about them a little bit before, and here they are in full flower now. The thing about broad beans is that they're frost hardy, so we can sow them early in the year or even in October and November, as I sowed these. So they're well underway and they're going to be producing broad beans by the end of May. So here's the broad bean seed. Aquadulce Claudia is a good one for the autumn sowing, but we're going to look at the other beans now. Runner beans, everybody knows runner beans, so here's the seed here. Some you can eat as green beans, the runner beans for example, and the flat beans, the pencil beans, but you can dry them all at the end of the year if you've got plenty of them, and use them in bean casseroles throughout the winter. Now the thing about these four beans, or there are many other types of beans as well, is that they're frost sensitive. They're not frost hardy. So here we are at the end of April, and well, we should be just about past the frost, but not quite. End of April this time, around the Manningtree area, you're looking at around the end of April, but that's the average date for the last frost. So we could well get a few more frosts yet, maybe another couple of weeks. So most people would therefore plant them in a tub or a pot or anything deep. They need quite a bit of soil because they're going to put their roots a long way down. So you can plant them in something like this, and you can have them in the windowsill or in a greenhouse, or protected anyway for at least another 2 weeks till at least the middle of May. Yeah, so if you're going to sow in a pot or a tub, then you just push your finger in and pop the seed in, maybe a couple of inches down. And I've already put some in here. So these are for the allotment, actually for the PACE allotment, these ones. But we're going to try a different way. So we're going to try the borlotti beans on this fence. All of these are climbing beans, so they need something to climb on. You'll have to think about that. So I'm going to prepare the ground here along this trench line. Right, there's the trench. So I'll just fork over in the bottom of the trench. Seems like quite a bit of work this, but these beans are going to be here for a long time, producing a lot of beans for us. So it's worth giving them a little bit of time. So now I'm going to put some wood ash in the bottom of the trench. Beans like ash. This is from our wood burner. Beans like ash. Not all vegetables do, but beans do. So potash is rich in potassium and some other nutrients. Mix it in with the soil. I'll put some compost in as well. Some of our homemade peat-free compost, of course. So now I'm going to put that soil back in the trench and leave it so it's about a couple of inches from the surface, I suppose. Put the borlotti beans in here. I'll put them in a sort of in the middle of that trench. There'll be about 2 or 3 inches of soil over them when I fill the row in. So there we go. This is more than we need, but 1 or 2 may not germinate, or some may, get eaten by something. Or right, so I'll just mark the row, and then fill that in. So then I'll just firm that down over the row, make sure they're all nicely surrounded by soil. When they eventually come up, I can put some canes in to help them onto the fence. So we'll do that later on. We won't do it now because we've got to protect them. Remember, these are not frost hardy, so there's a good chance of a frost from now on, so I have to protect the beans while they're germinating. So we'll water those in thoroughly, and then we protect them. This is a mesh here. I'll just give them enough protection from frost. I can also pin it down and protect them from mice as well. So now for the cobra beans and the Pantheon beans, the pencil beans and the flat beans. So I've just put a couple of canes in each end here so you can see where the row is eventually going to be. I've already prepared the ground here in the same way as I did for the borlotti beans. I'm just making a little trench there about the right depth, a couple of inches deep. So first of all, then the cobra beans, the pencil beans. Again, I'll put more seed in than I eventually will come as plants, but so every couple of inches I put one of these little black seeds in. I'm going to do half the row with the cobra beans and then the other half of the row with the flat beans, the Pantheon beans. Right, I'll fill that row in then, cover them up. So I've just taken out the second row on the other side. The other canes are going to be. Here the flat beans going in again, in this half of the row. And now for the runner beans. So I've got this frame here for them, and I've just put a few canes in so you can see how it'll end up eventually. I prepared the ground in the same way as for the borlotti beans that we started with, some ash and compost, and dug it over. Now I've just put a trench in so I can sow the beans. They're going to come out about one every 6 inches or so, but I'll put a few spares in as well. One or two might not come. There we go then, that's the runner beans in, all watered. I'll put the cover on the same as I did for the others, and that will protect them from frost for this next few weeks. Now, what's the advantage of putting them in the ground compared to having them in the pots? Well, in the pots the risk is that the roots will curl round the pot, and then when you plant them out, those roots won't get down to the water table. Whereas with these ones, the roots will definitely get down to water, so I reckon I'll have much less watering to do on these beans. Right, so that's the beans. Also peas, another legume of course, so peas and beans, very similar treatment. These are Manche 2 peas. I only grow Manche 2s actually, because I can't see the point of wasting all those pods. So similar planting for beans, so take a trench out the same way. I wouldn't put wood ash in for peas, but put some compost in the trench. Here's some that we've planted a few weeks ago, because most of the peas are not frost sensitive, they're frost hardy, so these are well up now, even though we're still just in April, so they're coming on nicely. So that's our beans and our peas sown, two very important crops in the vegetable garden, and particularly beans I think, because they produce such a large amount of fresh vegetables for us, and also dried beans throughout the winter as well.